Hello everyone, my name is Matt Latham and I'm the director of the Ramsey Library. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about our service Hoopla, which is a digital collection which provides all kinds of things, including ebooks, audiobooks, comics, movies, television, and music. So a little bit of everything. Last time I gave a recommendation for digital comics. This time I thought I would take a look at some movies, specifically good action movies that are available on Hoopla to watch right now. Um, Now, there's a ton of movies, and in fact, if you've looked at Hoopla a little bit, you'll know that there's a ton of kind of remake movies or somewhat knockoff movies, but there are also a lot of quality action movies that will definitely entertain you at home. So let's take a look. I've got a list of about 10 different movies that I thought I would recommend. I've taken a look through just about all the action movies I could find on there, and I've come up with a list of my picks for ones to watch at home. And for the next video, since I also looked through everything, we'll take a look at some of the worst movies that I found. So that can be fun too. But for this one, let's look at some good ones. So, to start out, now this isn't necessarily specifically an action movie, but I thought I would mention that Hoopla does have a number of the Star Trek movies. I'm a fan of Star Trek, and there are also a lot of Star Trek TV shows right now. So it's something that people may be watching. And so if you're interested, you can go back and take a look at some of these movies. They don't have all the movies, but they do have um, four different Star Trek movies. They've got The Voyage Home, Nemesis, First Contact, and Generation. So of those, I would definitely recommend First Contact. That's the best of the Next Generation movies. That's one starring Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard. It's definitely probably one of the more action-based movies of the Star Trek films too. That and Wrath of Khan, which sadly is not available on here. But I would definitely watch that if you want that crew and some good action. Uh, the Voyage Home is also a great one. It's definitely more of a comedy. And until the newest Star Trek movies, the ones that started in 2009, the J.J. Abrams ones, this was the highest grossing of the Star Trek films, so the most ticket sales. The Voyage Home, if you might remember, it was sometimes referred to as the whale one, where they have to go back in time to save a whale to save humanity. Trust me, it's amazing. So you should definitely take a look. And that is a pretty funny one too. So you've got Star Trek to start out, but going on to some real action movies. So we have one of my favorite action movies of all time, Total Recall, the 1990 Paul Verhoeven movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. It is a fantastic action movie. It is all, I mean, it's 1990, but it's like a pure 1980s action movie. Tons of violence, tons of blood and guts. Arnold Schwarzenegger at his most Arnoldness. So if you want just full-on Arnie plus all the action and violence you can take, this is the one for you. You might remember it from back in the day. Definitely not for the kids, but for everyone else, it's a wonderful, wonderful action movie. I highly recommend it. Many quotable lines in this one too. So definitely see Total Recall. Next is another classic from a lot of 80s and 90s action movies on here. This one is an early Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. This could also be in the kind of ridiculous movies category, but it's so good and ridiculous. It's such a fun time to watch. This one is Bloodsport, 1988 with Jean-Claude Van Damme. The plot is essentially that he gets involved. He's like a special officer, like, special training officer, and he gets involved with a tournament, a secret fighting tournament where there's no holds barred, those kinds of things. And he has to compete in this thing called the Kumite. And there's just a bunch of action sequences where it's just, you know, tournament-based fighting. And it's definitely way 80s. It's got some just totally ridiculous over the mark stuff. So if you want ridiculous fighting movie starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, this is definitely one for you. And it also has Forrest Whitaker very early in his career as a cop trying to trace him down for some reason. and the big tough guy from Nerds, if you remember that one too. So um, it's got so many things. You're definitely going to want to watch this. This one is definitely get a six pack of beer and watch this one. So the next one is kind of a cult classic at this point, from the 90s, Boondock Saints from 1999. That one is also available, about a pair of Catholic brothers who become vigilantes and wipe out Boston's criminal underworld in the name of God. Sounds heavy, uh, and it's kind of ridiculous. But I will say that it's got a cult following. It's got good action sequences, a lot of good gun battles and such, and it's got Willem Dafoe doing a completely over the top performance. Super intense, super ridiculous. Again, you should probably watch it with that in mind too, and you'll have a laugh as well as some good action. So try that one too. Next, we've got uh, one that's, again, these are very indicative of their time periods. Okay, so this one is 1994's The Crow. Way 90s, couldn't be more 90s, and 90s in that sort of grunge, Nirvana, Pearl Jam type time period. This one stars Brandon Lee, um, Bruce Lee's son, who was actually killed in the making of this film, when a gun went off that was supposed to have blanks and it had real bullets in it. So a tragic story behind this one, but also a really good film, and one that was, more potent in that it was a really interesting movie and a well done movie, and he could have had a very promising career after that, but unfortunately it was cut short. But still great to watch. Very 90s. Interesting. Let's see the how do they describe the plot? Um, exactly 1 year after. Let's see. Okay, The Crow is the tale of a young musician who, along with fiance, is murdered on the eve of their Halloween wedding. Very 90s. Exactly 1 year after their death, Eric is risen from the grave by a mysterious crow to seek out his killers and force them to answer for their crimes. So, um, yeah, dark, interesting, good action. Take a look. 90s. Next, we have a superhero comic movie that was slightly before the really Marvel Cinematic Universe like Rush. This is the original Hellboy, starring Ron Perlman and directed by Del Toro. Um, and great direction. Probably more value to this movie than you would think in a normal just comic book movie because of the great direction from Guillermo del Toro. So again, 2004. Good direction, interesting. Ron Perlman as the lead person in this, and it's definitely worth a watch, if nothing else, because of the cool direction. So really interesting uh, cinematic techniques and things. Take a look. The next two are definitely, there's some really good martial arts movies that are available on Hoopla. These next two are like pure martial arts. Really, if you're into that kind of thing, these two movies are going to give you everything you can hope for and a little bit more. The first one is The One, starring Jet Li. Um, the the description of this: in The One, parallel universes collide when a rogue agent assigned to murder or to I'm sorry, to monitor these universes begins eliminating versions of himself in each alternate reality. Uh, and it stars Jet Li. He fights himself. He fights others. It's really, what else do you want? So, but a lot of great action sequences and martial arts stuff. So, The One with Jet Li, one of the best martial arts uh, movie makers all time. So take a look at that. This one's a little bit later. This one is Ong Bak, the Thai warrior. And there's three Ong Bak movies, and all three of them are available on Hoopla. This was one that didn't get as much play because it's a Thai-made film, but it's really got some crazy set pieces in terms of action sequences. So um, definitely one to take a look if you really like, really good choreographed fight sequences. This is one for you. Um, Here's the quick description. When the head of his village's sacred Buddhist statue is stolen, simple country boy Ting is sent to Bangkok to retrieve it. He is trained in Muay Thai, but vowed never to. Once he arrives in the big city, however, he is forced to fight. So, Gotta love a plot like that. Writes itself. So both of those take a look. They're good martial arts films. Uh, the next one, we're going to go back a little bit to 1969, The Battle of Britain. This is a great one that I was surprised to see on there, but it is available on Hoopla. It stars some really classic actors. You've got Michael Caine and Laurence Olivier and Trevor Howard, all in the same movie. And of course, it's about World War II, the Battle of Britain, Nazis versus English fighters. So it's all air battles and Spitfires and Messerschmitts and things like that. Really great movie, great actors. It's sort of a classic of that genre. So if you're looking for a different kind of action movie, World War II, dogfights and in the air, great acting. This is one for you. 1969's The Battle of Britain, available right now. Um, and finally, we have another 1990 movie. This is 1990, and it's, again, really 90s, and, again, kind of ridiculous, but I can't help but love it. The King of New York is available on Hoopla. If you don't know, The King of New York is... So here's a description. Read a description, and then I'll give you who's in the movie, too, because it's really impressive. In New York, crime gets done Frank's way, or it doesn't get done at all. Recently freed from prison, Frank White hooks up with his old crew to challenge his fellow drug lords. Each bloody battle aims at a piece of high-priced action where being at the top of the chain can mean the difference between life and death. So, again, kind of ridiculous, but see who's in this movie. So, the crime boss is played by Christopher Walken. That's pretty amazing right there. Then you've got Lawrence Fishburne, David Caruso, Wesley Snipes, and Steve Buscemi, all in one movie, all in like this gang 1990 New York movie. It's over the top. It's ridiculous. It's super 1990s, like early 90s. Way worth your time. I really like it, and it's got a bunch of great actors in it. So this is a great one that if you missed it, perfect chance to opportunity to see it right now. The King of New York, available on Hoopla right now. And I'll wrap up today with just saying that there are also, this one's part of my ridiculous list and our action list, because it kind of fits into both categories. Lucky enough, Hoopla has available all of the Sharknado movies. That's 1 through 6. And I believe that there is also the soundtrack for Sharknado 3 or something. Why, I'm not sure. But if you like that kind of way over the top action movie and sharks, well, of course, this is the one for you. So there's 6 ones for you, though, because there are 6 Sharknado movies. So all of them are available for your viewing pleasure on Hoopla. Well, that's the list for today. I will come back with some other lists in terms of comedies, in terms of adventure movies. We'll look at a couple of different lists, but for today, we had action movies. Take a look, and soon today, I'll also have my list of ridiculous movies to take a look at Hoopla as well. All right, have fun viewing.